And good afternoon. Welcome to We Believe Digital Newsbreak. Chris Young coming to you from downtown Jackson, Mississippi. Clear and sunny skies, about 73 degrees, maybe heading possibly up to 78 by mid-afternoon. And always glad to come here in this African-American owned and operated studio where we're trying to provide a media company accessible to you to make sure all our voices are heard, unlike many of the other platforms in the area. So we're glad you're joining us. Our call-in number is 1-800-492-5186. If you'd like to join us in the chat, we'd be happy to see you there. You know, we're starting out with the black and white issue today. Very, very shocking, but this one's a little different because this is Yaya. This is Yaya the giant panda, black and white. Well, Yaya, who had been given to the U.S. on loan 20 years ago, was returned to Shanghai today. He departed from the Memphis Zoo, Tennessee, where she had been for the past 20 years. So many people seeing this as a sign of deteriorating U.S.-China relations. Several news sources say there's a giant panda in Moscow that is thriving over there, and people say that's a reflection of improving China-Russian relations. So the pictures that I saw of Yaya, she wasn't looking that great, but then you read a little deeper and you find out the life expectancy of these pandas is about 15 years. So she's well past that. And anyway, so no more Yaya in the United States. Shifting from pandas to petroleum profits, the Exxon Corporation recorded 11.43 billion with a B, profit for this most recent quarter that ended March 31st. So just in one quarter, $11.43 billion. As folks, suffer at the pumps. There seems to be a little bit of leveling off lately, but not sure. I think I paid $3.19 or $3.21 a couple of days ago to fill up. Egypt has accused Netflix of misrepresenting history by casting a black woman to play Cleopatra. So they say it's their most famous historical figure, and this black woman playing Cleopatra is coming up in a new series, and but it begs the question: how many white people over the years have played black roles, and versus how many black people have played roles that were traditionally white? Well, the New York Times says it's not even close. Well over 100 white people have played black roles in movies over time, where it's really less than 10 that have of black folks that have played what were considered, and again, it's back to who's doing the considering, over the same period of time. So again, you have to ask yourself, well, is that a bottom line type thing? Is that a racism type thing? What is that all about? So apparently, the concept of the best qualified actor, regardless of their skin tone, may not be the preeminent decision maker there. So anyway, Netflix, Hollywood. On the national level, our former Vice President Mike Pence testified yesterday before a federal grand jury And that's more of the Justice Department's investigation into the January 6th insurrection. This was a very big deal because, it's believed that, under oath that he's going to tell it the way it is. And, the investigators wanted firsthand information about discussions that took place in the White House, discussions that took place between Pence and Trump. Trump was trying to pressure Pence to do something that was illegal or unconstitutional, maybe a better word for it, leading up to that big day. So this gives those grand jury members firsthand information, and the investigators firsthand information about things that were said and comments that were made and so forth. So during that time, leading up to that big day that was really a stain on our country. So we'll have to see what transpires on this. And there was news yesterday too about the E. Jean Carroll rape allegations towards Trump. A lot of things. There's the Georgia investigation. There's so many things going on with this former president, who, as of this day, continues to be a candidate once again for president. Connected in some sort of way. The whole Steve Bannon crowd and all that. This guy Brian Kolfage, a decorated Air Force veteran. He had lost both legs and an arm in the Iraq War, and had previously pleaded guilty for his role in siphoning donations from this charity that was developed called We Build the Wall. And there's no honor in that. There's certainly honor in losing limbs for your country, but there's no honor in stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from when people that want to build that wall, they want to build that wall and they're willing to give their money and they send it in, and then people like this siphon money off for themselves. So anyway, he was sentenced yesterday to four years in prison for that, and him and this other guy, whose name I did not write down, they're going to be responsible, who also was found guilty and I think sentenced to 3 years yesterday, are going to have to pay back a total of $25 million restitution. Now, Steve Bannon was not there because, these were federal charges, and Steve Bannon was pardoned by the former President Trump. However, earlier this year, the state of New York brought state charges against Bannon, so he's awaiting trial on those state charges. Probably not out of the woods completely, is what it looks like. Yesterday, Nebraska and South Carolina failed to shift in the first case, in Nebraska case, shift an abortion ban from 20 weeks to 6 weeks. Failed by one vote, and in the South Carolina case, going from 6 weeks to a full ban, also losing that challenge, if you will, by one vote. So interesting to see how this is panning out on the abortion debate. It looks like 14 states have total abortion bans right now. This following the Roe v. Wade decision. So, and some of those 14 states that do have the bans, they do have exemptions. Some have exemptions, for rape and incest, and others do not. 20 states still allow abortion. And then there's different stages of partiality. Four states have attempted bans and had them blocked. And then there's others with dependent partial viability restrictions. So there's not bans in place, but there's some forms of restriction based on the viability and age of the fetus. So that's what's going on with all that. Mention every show that in Mississippi, where the Republican-led leaders, using appointed directors of state agencies, siphoned upwards of $100 million that was earmarked, is sent to Mississippi every single year from the federal government. And that's specifically as a safety net for the poorest families in Mississippi. And while doling out a small percentage, 1.5%, 5% of the millions that we receive, these folks, some years ago, just brought to light a couple years ago, siphoned. This was during the Bryant administration, although there's some links to the current Tate Reeves administration, siphoned off this money. So we receive the money from the federal government, then we turn that money into a slush fund, give the least amount we can to the people that is actually intended to serve, create oppressive restrictions so that they pay out as little of that as possible to the people that need it the most, and then use all kinds of other millions upon millions for pet projects and things that they want to do, all in under Republican administration. And to date, there's been no hearing on that. The Republicans still won't schedule a hearing, and so we believe strongly in reminding you of that. Can you imagine if it was Democrats that did that, or especially Democrats in Hinds County or Jackson that did that? My goodness, there'd be hearings upon hearings being held. But no, they're not saying a word about it. They're just letting it play out legally in the legal arena. And the former governor, Phil Bryant, is going to great lengths using the legal process, which is his right, to make sure that as few of those text messages about all this, are available to the prosecutors. So we'll just have to see how all that turns out. Another story on the Mississippi side of things, strong ties to Mississippi. Carolyn Bryant Donham died in Louisiana receiving hospice services a few days ago. She was, or the day before yesterday, I guess. She was the white woman in Money, Mississippi, that claimed that Emmett Till had wolf whistled her. And he was 14 years old, visiting from Chicago, and was kidnapped and brutally murdered as a result of what she had to say. And that was in August of 1955. And she was 88 years old. She more or less recanted that story. I believe it was 2013. Then they finally found an affidavit of her charging, intended for her charging, buried in some box in a city building a few years back. But they decided, I guess with so many years past, that they were not going to indict her. And justice is justice, So anyway, so that lady, the whistle lady, dead at 88 years old. Also, of course, a relative of the former governor, Phil Bryant, by numerous accounts. Nephew. He was a nephew. So we're gonna take a break now, and then we'll come back with you shortly for the second segment.
Looking for the hottest content in the city of Jackson and surrounding areas? Check out WeBelieveDigital.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We Believe Digital Podcast is here for all your podcasting needs.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, Keepers of the Knowledge for People Who Speak the Truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week. Stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippi.link.com and click on Home Delivery.
And welcome back to We Believe Digital Newsbreak. One of our listeners, Mr. Lewis, we hear you. We hear you, Mr. Lewis. You just one of those things you don't know what to say because, decent Christian people, but just terror, just because of what she had to say, just because he was black. So, no more words. Governor Bryant, there's a new poll released by Mississippi Today and Siena College. I really love that pairing that they came together to give the voters some broad-based information, polling, and the political arena and all. And Governor Reeves, they now saying since January, is leading challenger Brandon Presley by even more than he was in January. So they say that he's up 11 points. He was up 4 points over Presley in the January poll they did. Now they say he's up 11%. But hang on just a minute, because that's not the end of the story. But they say that the percentage of voters wishing that they had a different choice from Tate Reeves, is increasing. In January, it was 57% saying, God, I wish we had somebody else we could choose from. Now it's up to 60% in this most recent poll. So we'll see how all this turns out. I don't know if he's going to have any Republican challengers. Not sure how that's going to work. We're just going to have to pay attention and think. Follow that along and see what happens. We still got a long ways to go. Saw this story. I don't know. You may have seen this story in other locations about University of Mississippi Medical College shutting down their team clinic, which provided trans care to minors. So what it looks like in reading a couple of different Clarion Ledger and Mississippi Today, it looks like the legislature was intent on doing this anyway, which they did. But UMMC, before the session even started, they just really quietly closed down that clinic, sent letters to parents and so forth. Again, this is for minors. This would be receiving puberty blockers and so forth, supportive care, counseling, etc. Interesting when you see these decisions. Even if when they act ahead of time before somebody makes them act, it does kind of tell you about their principles. So where they stand on that. So, is this just trying to keep in good standing with the state so that they continue to keep the money flowing? We told you just the other day that $113 or $131 million project was approved during this legislative session for UMMC to build a teaching facility up in Ridgeland. So, when they stop doing this care, why did they start doing it in the first place? Maybe they should ask themselves that question. Not going to be popular in Mississippi. no matter what. So why did they start doing it in the first place? And what changed where they decided to stop providing those services? Hopefully we'll learn more in the coming days. And UMMC, kind of like the CEO, Ms. Woodward, had no comment on the issue. So we want to not talk about that. So the Christmas tree bills came along, and the governor, there was $372 million tied up in projects sent to the governor. One of the bills was HB 603, but this is the one where everybody tucks in their stuff from all over Mississippi. So, but you better sit down for this one. He line item vetoed 15 projects, with the majority of the funds associated with those 15 projects were earmarked for projects within the city of Jackson. I don't mean to shock you like that, but that's the truth. So, and that came from the Clarion Ledger. You know, that golf park, LaFleur's Bluff, the planetarium, all kinds of different stuff. Now, he vetoed these stuff last year, but doing it again this year. So, and you know immediately what Mayor Lumumba has to say about that is that the city is being targeted again and is considering legal action. So, more to follow. We'll see how that plays out. In Hinds County, shocking to a lot of people. You know, I was down at City Hall yesterday, talking to my pal down there, and my JPD pal down there, and she told me that she told me about the story about Marshawn Chrysler, and I had not heard it. Apparently, it had come out early in the morning. I think I got there around noontime or something. But yeah. Hinds County Sheriff candidate Marshawn Chrysler, he's 54 years old. His wife's running, I believe, for a Board of Supervisors position. He filled in right when Lee Vance died. He filled in for a period of time, and then he got beat by Tyree Jones. But now he's running again against Tyree Jones. But yesterday was not a good day for him. He was indicted by a federal grand jury for allegedly soliciting bribes and giving ammunition to a convicted felon. So he pleaded not guilty, showed up there in handcuffs, pleaded not guilty, and about the only comments he had was that, he asked the voters of Hinds County to continue to trust him. He plans to continue to stay in the race for sheriff. So, if this was the state charges, it's one thing. But federal charges, I mean, it seemed like they typically have the goods, before they would do something like that. So we just have to see. I think it's a sad day. I don't know him nearly as well as I know Sheriff Jones. Not like buddies either, but I'm just saying. But I get a favorable impression from Sheriff Jones, so we'll see. We'll see how all this plays out. The next hearing is scheduled for June 12th, so we'll be sure to keep you up to date on that. And this breakout at the Raymond Detention Center last weekend, was it last Saturday morning or Sunday morning? There was four inmates who escaped, went through the roof. Not sure all that, they don't tell you the details of all that. But anyway, one of them, a couple days later, was found in a house fire / shootout, dead. So that left 3, and then now one of them has been found and apprehended, taken into custody in Spring Valley, Texas. So that leaves 2 of the 4 still unaccounted for, and sources believe that they're still here in the central Mississippi area. So we'll just have to see about that. But that's that seemed like that happens in Mississippi. I don't know. Maybe I should do a little Google search on the amount of jail or prison escapes by state. You know, which state has the highest? I wonder if we'd be on that list. We mentioned the other day, but I'd like to mention one more time that, the oppression bills, or the takeover bills, were signed into law by Governor Reeves. The NAACP immediately sued the MacArthur Center for Justice, the Mississippi Center for Justice, the ACLU Center for Justice. I noticed this morning one of the people that's whose name this is filed under talked to the media this morning, a lady, a female. And then I've heard attorneys on talk radio like WMPR speaking about, that this really is a discrimination issue. It's a constitutional discrimination issue, not only for the Mississippi Constitution, but for the U.S. Constitution. So if you want to learn more details about that, you can always take a look at the Mississippi Link online, or subscribe and get the Mississippi Link delivered to your door. A lot of people work very hard to bring you updated stories and kind of an extra couple of layers of what's really going on. And Mississippi Link, a great source for weekly information. And really the last story I have on the list today, we maybe run just a little bit short today, is the Lynch Street Cultural Arts Festival. Coming tomorrow, I really plan to attend. That's going to be from noon to 8 p.m. All sorts of different food and vendors, books, clothing, and more. There's talk, I couldn't find the name, but there's talk of a national recording artist being there. Do you by chance know who that is, Ariel?
No, sir.
Look, it is unlisted. If Ariel don't know, because she has really got her ear to the ground on things like that. So anyway, it looks like a good weather day till maybe late in the afternoon. There's maybe 30% chance of a shower late afternoon tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. But it looks like a mostly good day for this festival. Hope there's a big turnout and hope it's safe. And I just love going to festivals, especially art festivals, and I just love going around and looking at the stuff, and you see people that maybe you don't see in the normal walk of your life all the time. It's always good fun for me, so I look forward to being down there and maybe get a chance to see some of you. So if you see this old guy with the hair and everything, please say hello. So we thank you so much for tuning in today. Wish you well over the weekend. Hope you've had a healthy and prosperous week. Take good care of yourselves. Take good care of each other. Stay safe out there. We'll see you back next Wednesday at 12 noon. Thank you.